I'm Deanna, welcome back to my channel. You're watching Orchid, and I just thought I'd give you guys a bit of an update on what's happening in my little outdoor grow space now that spring is in full swing. It's like 9 a.m. here and it is hot. It is like 27 degrees or something. So it does mean that all the plants are now sort of in a good momentum of growing, and with warmer temperatures always comes a bit of a boost in the metabolism of all plants really, because the major thing that winter brings is a cool down and a rest for most orchids, for most plants in general. It will mean a reduced growth rate. So for some orchids it obviously means a dormancy period. It means a heavy reduction in any sort of growth, but plants in general will always grow a little bit better in warmer temperatures. So I just wanted to go through a few of the genera out here, and I'll point out the sort of major changes that have occurred. So I know in most of the rest of the world it's autumn coming into winter and it's getting cooler, but it's getting hotter here. So I kind of want to make this video about the changes that I noticed in winter with some of these orchids, and now what's happening in spring. So I guess normal expectations, because sometimes in winter you just think you might get a dud plant if you get a new plant, it's not growing, or you might repot something in autumn and it does nothing through winter and you're not sure if it's just stressed or so I just want to sort of talk about the natural cycles of some of these orchids that I've noticed over the last couple of years, or even just in the last winter. So now that it's approaching summer, I don't get any direct sunlight on this deck here. That's about it, a little bit of dappled sun there. So this little platform there gets a bit of sun, so I'm changing the orientation of my Vandas, but that's it. Frankie! Don't eat the bed. Frankie, stop it. Alright, well I've got an extra spring predator as well here in this house. He's been eating my orchids. He ate this speciosum has bite marks there. So yeah, I've got to watch out for this little pest. Anyway. So, Vandas. So in general, the Vandas don't do much in winter. Their leaves still grow, but very slowly, and you'll notice that the roots in winter, they don't have any sort of growing tips really. So as spring approaches, the Vandas just start taking off. So you'll notice more leaf growth, but as well as this, all my Vandas have started on old roots bringing out these green root tips, or they're green, or these ones are a little bit purpley. So all my Vandas are doing this, and it's really quite a nice sight. Some of them are bringing out new roots as well. You can see there, oh, there's a bit of bird poop. But yeah, spring is definitely a time that you'll notice a lot of change. The Rhyncho, however, their pattern is generally to flower in winter, so they tend to be annual bloomers, and you'll notice pretty much zero growth of leaves on the Rhyncho, like zilch, but you'll notice flower spikes hopefully on the mature plants. But yeah, the little seedlings which aren't quite mature size, they do nothing, absolutely nothing through winter. So we've got my Cattleyas down here. A lot of them are having new growths, which are becoming fully mature now. But the rate at which they're growing is really, really rapid. Some of them didn't do a whole lot in winter, and some of them continued to grow. So it really depends on the hybrid, and I guess as a generalization, the species orchids do tend to have more of an annual cycle. So, I guess it kind of makes sense. In nature, they have to go with the rhythm of whatever the climate is doing there. So I guess with the Laelia purpurata back there, it's in full sheath at the moment, and I have to show you. Let's go around this side. I just noticed this. How did I miss this? Look at that. Do you see those buds popping through the sheath? There's another sheath here, and the buds are they're all the way up here. So how many flowers? Looks like there's going to be 2 flowers on this one. There's 2 new growths coming up there as well. So yeah, this is actually a new addition. It came in sheath in the middle of winter, essentially, and I didn't repot it, but that's what it does. It grows through spring and summer, these growths, and the sheaths develop, and then it sits there through winter and flowers in spring. It's a species orchid, and that's what it does. So, is it a bit hot, darling? Is it a bit hot? Hey, Munchkin? But yeah, once you start with the hybrids, they've got different ancestry, and yeah, many of them will just continuously grow and flower at the end of that cycle when the pseudobulbs mature. But yeah, it really depends on the individual plant with the Cattleya. Oncidiums. So they too slow down a little bit in winter, but overall they are continuous growers. You'll find everything speeds up in spring, obviously, but they all have their cycles of growth. So depending on the individual plant, the time it takes for them to mature a pseudobulb differs, but they will bring out new growths, they'll mature the new growths, and then they'll flower, and then they'll bring out new growths, and they'll do that in their own time, in their own cycle, regardless of what the time of year is generally. So I don't notice that most of my Oncidium types have an annual cycle. They just continuously grow through the year, dependent on how fast those pseudobulbs mature, which is a little bit dependent on the season. Dendrobiums, can you see the little one in the background, just like destroying stuff? The joys of puppy life. There's a little puddle of pee as well next to him, so yes, we're potty training. So, Dendrobiums. Okay, so there are so many different sections of the Dendrobium genus that it's difficult to sort of tell you the exact changes of any one plant, but in general, Dendrobiums will bring out new growths in spring. And this is my Dendrobium spectabile, which hasn't flowered for me yet. In fact, I got it in, must have been like May, and it's done nothing since May. Now I repotted it around May, and I'm wondering whether I did something wrong, but you know what, the plant just kind of stayed exactly the same. It grew new roots, so it's got roots down there, but it didn't do anything. So it makes me think that this is quite a natural cycle for it, that it doesn't do very much during winter. But it started bringing out this new growth this spring. Still no flowers, but hey, it might be a summer bloomer. I haven't had it through a summer yet, so we shall see. I also have heard that they're a little bit difficult to flower. They need more light, so that might be another factor, but anyway, we'll see. So what happens in winter with Dendrobiums is what varies significantly, I think. Spring is a time of growth for most Dendrobiums, but in winter, some of them flower, Some of them don't. Some of them are spring and summer flowers. But generally they all tend to not grow a lot in winter. But the care you have to provide them differs. So obviously some of them need a dry winter's rest. Some of them you continue to water, but overall you do drop your feed. They don't need as many nutrients because they're not growing. So in fact, most of your sympodial orchids will start to bring out new growths in spring. The Oncidiums, they're the continual growers, so you'll just experience a little bit of a different rate with them. But the Cattleyas, if you find they haven't done a lot during winter, just wait till spring. And this is especially true of the seedlings. So a lot of the seedlings, they just sit there and do nothing, but now that's when they're starting to plump up their eyes. This one here, there's that little nubbin out there. So yeah, that's what I think, that there's still a lot of Cattleyas, even though some of them are continuous growers, that some of them just like to have a little rest during winter. For the monopodials, they just slow down a bit during winter in general. It's got a little flower spike on there. See that? So that's new. But yeah, you'll notice new leaves, increased growth as the weather warms up a bit. The Catasetums, well, I have a few different types of orchids that just go completely dormant over winter. So obviously the Catasetums are one of them, but you should notice that as things start to warm up, that they'll bring out their new growths. Look at the flower spike on this one. And they just start to take off. Look at this Oncidium. Oh, we've got a first flower opening here. How wonderful. How beautiful is that? Oh, I can't wait till this is in full bloom. Gongora's got a flower spike. All these guys are starting up with new growths as well. The Stanhopeas and Gongoras don't do a lot in winter for me, but they're all starting with their new growths now. One's coming up nicely. Yeah, this is the only one that's done absolutely nothing. This is my Stanhopea tigrina. It's actually quite a healthy plant. Yeah, hasn't really started doing anything, but I would expect some new growths to pop out soon. Or maybe it's saving its energy for a flower. So Stanhopeas flower from the bottom of the pots or from the sides. No flowers yet. This guy has a beautiful growth there. Look at that new leaf. Alright everyone, well I'm going to finish up on this random little table here. I'm going to make a video soon on this Paphiopedilum philippinense. Look at him in full bloom in all his glory. This last one's just opened up and that's what I was waiting for. You can see these petals aren't too twisty yet, but they'll twist up. Look how beautiful these petals are. Oh, I just love this plant so much. Got my phals. I've still got heaps of phals in full bloom actually. And this Cattleya's just opened up her flower. And I can smell it from here. Oh, it is really nice. I remember this flower, so it's flowered for me before. It only ever brings out one flower per cane, but it is such a nice fragrance. It is so sweet and citrusy. Ugh, I love it. It's got the name Broadband, I think. What's it? Topaz Angel Broadband. Alright everyone, thank you so much for joining me on my little spring outdoor Growspace update. Make sure you like this video if you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs down if you didn't, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. I'm trying to release the videos a little bit more regularly. I'm thinking maybe twice a week, and I'll figure out days that are sort of work best for me as I go along. But yeah, I hope you guys have a really great week, and I'll see you all next time. Happy growing until then. Bye.